Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I have a new graphics fairy design team project to present you. And so first of all, I would like to say I'm sorry about the lighting. I don't know if it's a good or not right now. I'm trying to adjust to the setting because I just moved in a new home. And so that's also the reason why I picked this structure to make this journal. It is a structure that I've already made in the past, so it was easier and quicker to make, and that was perfect for this hectic month. The theme of this journal is really about ladies' delights, I would say, such as embroidery, sewing notions, and millinery as well. And so I created two signatures, and for the base of the cover, I used two cardboards that I covered with some antique newspaper or magazines pages. And then I decided to create this kind of shattered look, kind of shabby look for the cover. And so I used one of the graphics fairy design from the Tattered paper treasures bundle that just got out like I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. And so what I did here is, well, first of all, I added a layer of tissue paper underneath, then some very thin, like some very fragile lace that I kind of tore a little bit to create this shabby, shabby look. And then I took this kind of wallpaper, this beautiful wallpaper that I just tore randomly and then put back randomly as well. And yeah, it's kind of this collage kind of look like an old wallpaper that have been, ripped out of. So that's how I wanted the cover to look like. And for the spine, I used two pieces of fabrics. So the one that is outside is a vintage American quilt fabric, and the one that is inside is a linen, a sturdy linen piece of fabric. So I sandwiched the two covers into the layers of fabrics, so they hold all together. So opening it up, I made this big pocket. I feel like the light is really bad right now. Let me see if I can do something about it. I don't know. Maybe not right now. And again, I apologize. This is a new space, so I need to figure out the where the light gets better. But so inside this big fabric pocket, I added this vintage like fabric sample paper card, and I added this beautiful graphic from the Graphics Fairy that is from the I believe this one is also from the Tattered paper treasures. And I printed this one onto some typing paper, so it has this really crinkly and sound, and it's really fine and like almost transparent. And there is also this beautiful, I believe it's antique, 1914 from Belgium, the Netherlands. So here you have you can get an idea of what the journal is going to be about. So there are some vintage buttons and upholstery fabric that I stitched onto this pocket, and then there's this mother of pearl buckle and a feather. So all these things remind, you know, the sewing notions and the embroidery, and also the millinery with the feather here. So inside I mainly used French vintage papers of all sorts coming from different sources to create the pages, and then I used in total I think I used 5 kits from the premium, like the Graphics Fairy premium membership website. And these are Tattered Paper Treasures, A Rose is a Rose, Peacock, Hues, Ephemera, Sewing Ephemera, and the Milliner. So everything will be, I believe, linked and listed down below. And so I mainly use these kits to create the ephemera. So there are some tuck spots, some pockets, some journaling cards and journaling spreads, and other things that I'm going to show you while I flip through this journal. So it's a very eclectic journal, I feel. It has a lot of pastels throughout, and lots of papers and a few lace trims. So if we go to this page, we have this is a beautiful photograph from the Graphics Fairy, and so I just wanted to make it as a journaling card and added some trim and some paper scraps here. And this is also a piece of vintage quilt that I made into a pocket and attached some buttons here. There's a pocket here as well, and I added some vintage sewing notions, so some authentic ephemera as well. This is a letter. You can see the handwriting. I made a few collage bits here and there with some pieces I got in a Happy Mail recently. And so this kind of reminds me of the millinery part of the theme, the journal theme, with the feathers again. And there are some small pieces that I just glued onto the page. And this coffee dyed paper has some gold acrylic stains. This is some antique, or maybe, no, antique, it's antique. It's from 21, sorry. And I just attached some authentic ephemera along with some graphics from the Graphics Fairy. And these are from, I believe this is from the Milliner bundle. And so I just created 2 business cards here. And I found this little pocket, so I just tucked these in here, but you can use them as journaling cards if you'd like to. I tried to use some vintage seam bindings and ribbons that are like pastel colored throughout. Here we have some wallpaper that is textural, and this is a piece from Graphics Fairy image. And this comes from the Graphics Fairy, and I've printed, it comes in a PDF file, and so there are several, and there's one I just added some buttons that you can use throughout, and so I just added a double-side tape underneath, so they are easily removable. And then this is a handmade journaling card with one of the Graphics Fairy printable. Just backed it with some ledger paper. It's a beautiful like lace coffee dyed paper. A bit of collage, and I'd added some vintage lace. Did some stamping onto some rose petal dyed paper, and this is a graphics from the Graphics Fairy as well that I made into a journaling card. Here I used this is actually an old piece of jewelry. It was an ear clip, I think, and I just used it as a, you know, a clip, a paper clip, I guess. And I got this ephemera here from the Peacock Hues ephemera. And this is just for, like, you know, reminding of the beautiful peacock feathers that were used back in time for hats. So the millinery part. And we have some wallpaper border. This is a vintage one, and a beautiful antique Au Bon Marché chromos collectible card. So that's I think it's a nice you know, a nice tip. If you have some old earrings like this one, you can. This one is vintage, and it kind of reminded me of a peacock as well. But you can use these as clippings, like paper clips. Some old pages from the calendar Magasin du Louvre. And then there is a few papers here that I clipped together. This is an invoice that I picked in one of the Graphics Fairy bundles, and I attached this little butterfly applique with a little pin. To this beautiful Graphics Fairy paper design, I added this journaling card that I made, and this is an antique chromos again, and this is actually an advertisement for hats. This is a beautiful printable from the Graphics Fairy, and I just printed it into some, you know, some grid paper, so you can use it as a journaling space. We have ledger paper that is tucked onto some other type of ledger paper. A paper doily. This is a really simple journaling card, and I added an authentic piece of thread, antique thread card. And this is actually something I just wanted to point out. This is a scrapbooking paper that I actually used in the past, and I kind of glued it onto some random page while I was doing another journal. And I actually removed it and kept it somewhere. And when I found this, I really like this kind of, again, tattered, the tattered edge from, you know, ripping it off from the other page. And so instead of gluing it onto this side again, I decided to flip it over and kind of show this tattered edge. I thought it was pretty, and also this pop of color from the older paper, I guess. I thought it was nice. Gave a nice pop of color. This is an authentic thread card as well. This one is antique. We have some marble paper and handmade journaling card with some lace. This is a glass button. And then this is a beautiful graphic from the Graphics Fairy, and I just made it into a tuck spot, to which I added this journaling card from the Graphics Fairy as well. It's from the bundle A Rose is a Rose, and this is just a handmade paper that I pinned some details on. I added a bit of lace here. There's some journaling space. The middle of the first signature. Here we have a couple of images from the Graphics Fairy. So this is from from A Rose is a Rose digital kit, and I just created a little tuck spot. You can add your papers. This is a handmade journaling card with one of the Graphics Fairy photograph, and this one I believe is from the Sewing Ephemera. This is a tuck spot and a vintage button card. This is another beautiful design from the Graphics Fairy, and I just backed it with some tissue paper, you know, that you receive in, you know, packagings and stuff like that. I got this idea from another journaler in the community, but I thought it was it gave this really light, airy touch that is really feminine and pretty. We have a few things here clipped, and inside a few journaling cards as well. A tuck spot from A Rose is a Rose design, and I just added a vintage paper here. We have a few things clipped here, a piece of vintage wallpaper, the other side of this beautiful graphic from the Graphics Fairy. These are authentic ephemera. I'm trying to go a little fast because I know that it's always getting too long when I start chatting. This is, again, another of these ephemera from the kit A Rose is a Rose. So I just embellished it with this piece here and added some ribbon. You can journal on the back. There is this handmade envelope to which I added some advertisement cutouts, vintage ones. And also this is an authentic piece of sewing notions that I glued down. Beautiful embroidered trim on the side. This is a graphic from the Graphics Fairy, and just made a little journaling card here. Goes in this pocket, and on this side you have some needles here, and inside the pocket we have another journaling card from the Graphics Fairy. I think you get these little these cards from a PDF file, and these are actually supposed to be book plates, but I used them to create as journaling cards, but you can of course use them however you want. A little tuck spot here with vintage French sewing magazines and ephemera that have pastels colors. This is a graphic from the Graphics Fairy. I think it comes from the Tattered Paper Treasures. I need to check that. And you can journal on the back. There's a little fabric pocket here with some journaling space. And a few vintage buttons here. A tuck spot with some design paper that I coffee stained. And this is one of the Graphics Fairy printable here, and I added this image from the magazines, and I just put an eyelet in here, and this is a authentic piece of sewing notions here, and it goes into that pocket. And this is the back of the first signature, and here I just decided to attach this tag that came into a book I purchased, and I don't know, I just kind of figured out a way to attach it with this curtains spool round and this vintage trim, and there's this beautiful silk ribbon here that you can use as I don't know, maybe a bookmark. Second signature, and we have let me see, yeah, we have here a very thin kind of, I don't know, typing paper, but it's a document, and I added this antique lace, and tucked in here we have a little little journaling card, and this is something I made with a Graphics Fairy design. This came into the Sewing Ephemera bundle, I believe, and I decided to create a little needle case, needle holder. So you get this piece here in the website, a premium website, And then what I did is just create a little sort of booklet here, and this is what you see here is some carbon paper. And then I just added some needles here, so you can remove them, use them. But I thought it was a nice trick to create your own. This is just some collaged bits of papers. And yeah, that's a little needle case, handmade needle case. Here we have, this is some ledger page, and here I just tucked a few papers that you can remove and then, you know, glue throughout. And we have also some vintage embroidery like booklet page. This goes here, and that was clipped with this. These kinds of details are great to collage with and create some original ephemera cards and stuff like that, like a buckle, some vintage buttons, and, you know, some rings and stuff like that. So I thought you can have fun with these little bits and create some, you know, just some original pieces. This is some scrapbooking paper that I thought was really pretty. Some trim. Oops, I'm sorry. This is a beautiful image from the Graphics Fairy. I believe it's from the Sewing Ephemera bundle. There's a little lace pocket with this journaling card. On this side we have, this is a graphics from the Graphics Fairy. And we have this beautiful, authentic, antique French postcard with this. She has this amazing, a kind of creepy a little bit looking like bird's hat. So I thought it was really pretty, and a little tag, some collage page, a little charm here that I had laying around. This is a beautiful, again, piece from the Graphics Fairy, and I really didn't do much to it. I just printed it onto some vintage paper that I thrifted, and then you can just write and create your own ephemera with it. Oh, and I forgot to mention that you have some pages here of an old embroidery magazine, so where they had, you know, these designs of lace already kind of printed, I decided to add some authentic lace pieces, trims onto these designs. This is a little bundle of paper that you can write on, and there's a beautiful piece of a tattered paper treasure design and some some nice paper with really soft colors. On this side there's another graphics from the Graphics Fairy that I just added to this kind of interesting like paper, really. I think it was a postcard, but it already said The Sewing Lady, so I just added this image from the Graphics Fairy, the Sewing Ephemera bundle, and made some embellishments. This is some beautiful lace work from the Graphics Fairy as well, and just added a few things, a few images, vintage buttons, pieces that you can play around with, collage with. This is a beautiful design from the Graphics Fairy. A rose is a rose, and again I backed it with some kind of really thin packaging paper. There's a tuck spot here, some sewing paper. This side we have a vintage button card, and added this beautiful illustration here. We have some beautiful pages from the French Femina antique magazines with these beautiful ladies. This is from the Graphics Fairy, a nice piece of ephemera that I printed onto some ledger page. little flip here. This was a case for some round, like big round needle. Some papers to discover. Here we have a beautiful antique magazine page. And on this side, I used another of the Graphics Fairy kind of butterfly. I believe it was a needle case as well. And I just used it as a tuck spot and added these papers inside. So this is one of the tattered paper treasures, and this is just an authentic French piece of ephemera. Another beautiful tattered paper treasure from the Graphics Fairy with a few ephemera and book pages. But here I just decided to clip this little part, you know, that you get onto your fabrics sometimes. And yeah, looks like a little sample. And you can journal on the back. Another graphics from the Graphics Fairy, and this one I just stitched onto some packaging, like packaging paper, like craft paper. And I added this, I just folded it and created this little tuck spot. There's a acetate pocket onto the scrapbooking paper, and I added this tattered paper treasure design that I created, that I made into a little pouch. You can tuck your little ephemera inside. This part is kind of fun because I just wanted to create this little embroidery kind of section, and I just added these little designs from the Graphics Fairy. So I wanted to like pin them with this needle and create a sort of, like, you know, inspirational maybe board or something like that with different designs. And then there's another Graphics Fairy image that I love, and just backed with some craft paper. This is the other side of this, you know, embroidery magazine with the different designs, and I just covered them with some authentic lace work. And she's also sewing, or I think she's sewing. This is a French postcard from 1922, so antique now. There are these Graphics Fairy button cards that you can use for to add your own buttons, for example. And we're coming to the last bits. You have some journaling space, and here I just added this little bundle of ephemera and trim. And this is the end of this journal, and I really hope that you won't mind too much the light and that you enjoyed watching this flip through. I will put all the description, all the details in the description down below. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment, and thank you so much for your time and for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.